Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast, everybody. And today we're lucky enough to be joined by Tom Dannemiller, who is a partner of Towing Forward. Welcome to the podcast, Tom.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you. And why don't we start by you giving us a little bit about your background, where you came from, your story to date, and a little bit more about Towing Forward and the customers that you serve.
You can tell by the color of my hair that I've been around a little while. I grew up and cut my teeth in Silicon Valley in doing tech startups. I've done a number of them, including 3 different IPOs, primarily more on the operations side, working on building efficiency, working in manufacturing, logistics, global shipping, that type of thing, pretty much across the board. As I got further along in my career, I started working more closely in product development, knowing that most of the things that seem to be the issues on the operations side came back to design. I started working there and getting involved in software development and met the people I work with today, where our company Towing Forward has a very specific and a very general mission. We started this business because most of the people I work with had been working in consulting, primarily in small business for a long time before this. And one of the things we got involved with is there was a guy in a small business. He had a towing business, and he needed to dispatch his trucks. And we figured out how to dispatch tow trucks in the United States from a call center in India, which hadn't been done before. And we started out with one customer, and now we have customers in 19 cities in the United States, and we're basically doubling our size about every 6 months. And it's a great way. What we decide, what our mission is, if we look at it, it says that basically we want to apply technology to small business. Definitely, when we did this, we had to apply a lot of technology. What we learned is that in this particular business, it cried out for an AI solution, because what I didn't know when we started is that the actual towing process is actually quite complex. There are multiple different insurance companies or roadside service companies that all have different rules and different pricing and different objectives. Then each customer might have 7 or 8 of those different customers that it's trying to serve. So our people trying to understand, when that particular tow call came in, what had to be done in this case was a huge challenge. But it was a huge training challenge, but it was a thing that just was cut out and made for something like an AI application, because we could just dump all that information into the system, and it would allow us to go basically spit up on the screen the right answer every time. And once we started working through that, we realized that we could just have the AI callers were getting so good that we could just have the AI caller give the right answer every single time. And we built a tool to do that, basically for our own selfish aims, I guess it would be, you'd call it, in order to improve our own efficiency and get our quality up. What we discovered, we had an application that could really improve the whole customer experience for that. The customers we worked with and we talked with were telling us it was so much better than actually talking to people.
That's not great.
Well, it's a very difficult business, and you're basically calling up and you're dealing with every single customer on their worst day. They're standing by the side of the road and they're angry, and whatever they're supposed to be, they're not getting there. And also, it has huge ups and downs in terms of volume. Sometimes it's completely quiet. Sometimes you might get 7 or 8 calls in a minute. So
is that seasonal? Is that the way it works?
It's actually hour by hour.
Wow.
And some of it is predictable. There are some waves that come in certain hours are heavier than others, but others, there may be outside events like weather or other issues that have nothing to do with it that end up flooding that operator. What the AI gave us was essentially infinite capacity, because no matter how many people called, that AI could answer them all, and they could do them all. It really helps our customers. Given the fact that we are a group of people that has a lot of contacts and we have very diverse backgrounds, what we could see is that this tool that we built, this idea of, I'm going to have a front end, which is a caller that can talk to people, and a business process that has to be walked through. This is something that's applicable pretty much everywhere. Since we started with this process, we started learning about how to build AI tools about 18 months ago to now, where we've actually taken the same process and we've added it. We started doing the same thing in debt collection, which everybody, just like dispatching, people said it's primary small businesses are doing that. Also, the belief by the small business owner is that this is an art, it's not a science, and that you have to know a lot and you have to have 25 years experience to do this, to do it well. Well, no, what you have to have is a machine that learns once and remembers once. You can get that 25 years of human experience in a very, very short period of time.
Sure.
So we started to branch out, and we just started working with a company to do medical billing. But what we learned is that this process, we built sort of a proprietary tool that allows us to go into a company and map their processes very easily. We can usually go into a company and map their process in less than a day, and then hand it back to them and say, this is how you do business. Generally, we're right. We'll make some mistakes here and there, but then we can just take that process tool, dump it into the AI. Suddenly I have an experienced employee who can do the job and also is polite and friendly and shows up every day and does all the things that maybe it's hard to find in an employee these days. That's really what we've got. That's where we're going. We learned our lesson in one industry, and we're starting to build it across. Our real focus and our passion is small business owners. These are people who are largely neglected when it comes to the really great things that people are doing. They want to do it for some very large company because there's millions and millions of dollars in that. I understand, but this is something where we can help people, and we've been able to have some pretty fun, some pretty good success so far, and we're really looking forward to seeing what else we can do.
Amazing. And it sounds like you're making great progress. So as you're engaging in this space, particularly around the use of AI, obviously being a trend, but what other trends are you seeing in the market generally? I know there are pressures around, the labor market constraints. Obviously, maybe AI can help in that space. There's always pressures on optimizing costs. Again, possibilities there for AI and improving efficiencies levels across the patch. But are you seeing anything particularly at the moment which is ahead of the pack?
What the issue that you brought up around labor is just the number one thing that I hear. Basically, this issue of what we're the area where we seem to get the most traction, where people really want to talk to us, is where there is this thing that is not that is considered sort of a skill position, that is not an easy thing to do, where people have to invest significant amounts in training, really have trouble finding people who want to not only go do the job at a given rate, but also that want to go invest in the time and the training it takes to go become good at it. If I'm going to become a dispatcher, I might have to work at that for a year before I can be any good at it. That particular piece, that particular pain point is really where we're focusing. What I know from doing small business consulting from all these years is that it's not really the issue. The reason why the employee has so much trouble learning it is because the business has never mapped out the process and has never gone through the work to really understand what that job is about. Right. It makes it very difficult to train and very difficult to understand. The very first thing we do is go in and map out the process, go back and understand exactly what this job is. 100% of the time, I go interview everybody in the building, and there are really 5 processes, depending on who you talk to. And that process of marrying that up between the owner and the person who actually does the work and the receiver of that service, getting those people all on one page is maybe as much value as anything else I might do.
So is that sort of going back to the old classic value stream map, where you look for where the key value is in any business process, eradicate the waste? But now, instead of, say, doing a Lean Six Sigma exercise, you can apply AI potentially to that process.
Well, that's the other thing that happens, of course, is that when we go through this process, we find out, oh gosh, do you realize that you do this part of it 3 times? Or do you realize that you have 2 people doing the same job? Or, all those things happen. And you see, whereas those sort of process improvements have been wrung out of large businesses or corporate America, that is still wide open country when it comes to small businesses. It's rocket science to these folks when I come in and do it. And it makes it's very rewarding because you can get big changes, big improvements in a very short period of time. When we talk to our customers, always come back and say, well, I do this a lot faster. I do it a lot cheaper now than I used to. It's a very gratifying place to work. At this point in my life, that's kind of why I like it, is that, I want to go help people and I want to go make things better for people. And this is something, it's certainly an opportunity to do that.
That's a great strategy to have. But how do you find, from a change management perspective, new technology coming in, but also occasionally there's a reputation with AI saying that it's replacing jobs. How do you find that when you're deploying it in your customers?
Most of the time, these people cannot find the person for the job. They're completely fine. It's funny because it's an interesting question, because when we started selling this service, we started talking about, we can improve your efficiency, we can save you money. Oh, and by the way, this is how we do it. In my first interaction with customers, I realized I had to flip that over, because the small business owner, the first thing they want to hear is how they can take this burden of managing or hiring employees off their list. That's what they want to do first. The answer is basically no. I have the exact opposite issue in my sales process, and the fact that they're looking to go solve this problem. That particular sector is the market that we've chosen is really interested in that. It's interesting. They don't really care how anything works. I learned not to spend any time. This is AI and this is what it works and this is what we do. Don't want to hear it.
I'll probably change next week anyway.
I want to go, I can make my business run better and I can save money. That's something I really want to talk about, focusing on benefits versus process. And the other thing that I've learned is that the fundamental issue is that probably they need to do process improvement and probably they need to go gain efficiencies. That's not where I start either. I talk about let me go understand how you do it and then hand that to them later, and they're happy about that. As a small business owner, maybe I've been working at this for 15 years and I think I'm pretty darn good at it, and I don't want to focus on that. These are just, I guess, lessons I've learned in terms of working with small business owners who I love. They're my favorite people in the world.
And your use of AI, are you constantly challenging yourself, looking at new models or new Gen AI approaches and LLMs that are coming down the line on a regular basis, or do you have your own proprietary technology?
Well, we're definitely looking all the time. Basically, most of our AI stack from the beginning till now has basically almost 100% turned over. We've learned this works better, that works better, that's cheaper. The costs are really starting to come down. When we started out, it was really kind of a difficult sort of missionary thing because money it cost us to run our AWS bill was higher than what we were paying people in India. We are constantly evaluating, but we're also looking at our business processes from standpoint now of, okay, how can I do this in a way that's going to cost me less? It's going to that my internal costs are going to go lower. There's so many things you can do. Well, we started out with sort of some big chunks, and with the stack keeps getting pieces of it, there can be more and more pieces carrying less and less work because that process is getting so specialized. People are coming on the market every day with this new tool or that new tool, and we're constantly working to making sure that we have the most optimized stack. We're really living in a short window where I can imagine all this stuff just coming out as, okay, I'm going to go download an app that'll do all this stuff, and I won't need to understand it at all after a while. We believe we're sort of in this window. In the end, our purpose, our mission is the same. We're there to go help their small business people. If it turns out that that's an easy thing to do, then that's good for them. We'll teach them how to do that instead. But this process, that the technology is developing so fast, faster than anything I've ever been involved with.
Yeah,
ever.
I agree.
It's just really hard to keep up.
100%. You've talked about some of those milestones that you've evolved from where you began to where you are today and the way that you pivoted slightly. What have been your biggest challenges in that process? Is it the fact that you're constantly having to evolve with technology, or are there other challenges that you've encountered?
That's certainly the biggest issue, especially for me personally, is just keeping up with this technology. But the real challenges we have is sort of within our customers. They like the idea when we're at 50,000 feet and showing them these things, they love it and they think that their company's going to be with the new cool tech. But when you drive into this thing and we have the meat of it, and it turns out that they have dealing with the problems of implementation and also a lot of the politics of the implementation. I have eliminated Janie's job. She has no job anymore, but Janie comes to work every day because they don't want to deal with the fact that Janie has been made redundant. The actual hard stops of the implementation sometimes are really difficult for people to deal with. That's a big challenge we have. Our customers could do better than they're doing in some cases because they just don't want to go face the hard reality of what they're doing. Small businesses do this, corporations don't. Right? My brother-in-law does accounts payable and he's terrible at it, but I'm going to keep him because he's my brother-in-law. That's something that we don't really deal with in corporate America, but in small business is very prevalent. Those are some real challenges we face.
There's always a danger of throwing the baby out with the bathwater because sometimes they have knowledge in those individuals that could be valuable. I think it's about augmenting that knowledge somehow with AI, potentially.
Well, that's the challenge. The more I work with it, the more I really become comfortable with the idea that there isn't a lot in terms of proprietary knowledge or background or experience that I can't replicate very quickly in my tool. And it happens to me in the sales process. Well, can you do this? Well, does your person do that? Well, yes, he does. Okay, then we can do that. And I can usually demonstrate it in a very short period of time. Whatever it is, whatever activity or process that you think is so magical or locked up in this person's head, I can usually get it out in a very short period of time.
That's really interesting. I like to ask my participants on the podcast, Tom, is hypothetically, now that you've gone on this journey and you've learned all these lessons and you have the benefit of hindsight, would there be, if you're able to go back, say, with a time machine, anything you would do differently, say, over the last 12 months?
Probably I would have taken a harder look at our own internal processes. We're so focused on everybody else's processes. We could have built this stack differently from day one if we would have known what we know now. Because if we would understand what our customers really wanted from us. We have this idea as a tech company. We think that this technology is cool, therefore we should use it. We like this. We spend a little time polishing up our own tool because we like it, because we're tech people, and may not necessarily be what's most important to our customers. We would be further along if we would have spent more time on that versus what we thought was just really cool stuff. That's probably the big lesson we learned in this short time.
That's a great answer. And for the folks out there who are interested in finding out more, Tom, about Towing Forward and the services that you provide, where can they go?
There's towingforward.com. Come out there, we'll talk to you. And that has all our contact information. It has my contact information on there. Just give me a call, and I'd love to talk to you.
I'll make sure that I include that as part of the description of the podcast. And Tom, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming and giving us your insights today and telling us more about Towing Forward. And thank you to everybody for joining and watching this episode. And we will see you in the next episode of the AI Ripple Effect. Thank you, Tom. Goodbye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Have a great day.